He's a Ukrainian hero, a Canadian hero, and we thank him for all his service. Thank you.
It's very clear that Nazism has become normalized in the Western world in a way that it really hasn't been since the end of World War II. But this is kind of a function, I think, of a long-standing policy of Western intelligence agencies, notably, of course, the CIA, who viewed fascists, who viewed Nazis as basically the most competent anti-communist fighters. I think there's been a long-term willingness to use fascists, use open Nazis when it serves the political purposes of the West.
They're harboring these neo-Nazis. They're in the ranks of most military NATO countries, pretty much embroiling most nations to go head-to-head with Russia here. And Vladimir Putin, his credibility has shot to the sky here by calling this out last year. He said this was going on. He was proving this was going on. It's going on. Clearly, Canada is going to really suffer diplomatically from this. I don't know how they're going to come back from that, but it does show, like our other guest panels here have said, that, this has always been going on. This is very disturbing. And, well, this is a welcome mat for, I would say, if you are a war criminal, Canada's borders are wide open for you, and they're welcoming you still to this day.
A policy of don't ask and don't tell. Since 2014, when the Canadian government cooperated and collaborated to overthrow the democratically elected government of Ukraine and bring in a coup government, which was riddled with Nazis, the Canadian government has been creating a facade over this government, trying to make it appear it's a democratic government. They don't tell Canadians about the war on the Donbass, and they don't tell them about the neo-Nazis that are in the militia and in the security services. They are very much anti-Russian, and the Canadian government is very much anti-Russian. So they've created a false narrative for 8 years, and they're sticking to it.
Ottawa has spent almost $900 million on training the Ukrainian military, which includes the infamous neo-Nazi Azov Battalion. That's despite earlier pledges by Canada's defense minister that the country would not provide any support to the regiment, which he described as a small group of, quote, rotten apples. Now, about 2,000 members of the Ukrainian National Guard participated in the training as part of Ottawa's bid to help Kyiv strengthen its military. Photos posted by Ukraine's military on social media clearly show some soldiers wearing Azov Battalion patches provided as they participate in the training with Canadian servicemen. But Ottawa has been distancing itself from the claims, with the Defense Ministry saying it had been Ukraine's responsibility to conduct checks of the soldiers who would participate.
All of us who were in this House on Friday regret deeply having stood and clapped, even though we did so unaware of the context.
Yaroslav Hunka, a 98-year-old ethnic Ukrainian who served in the notorious unit of the Waffen-SS, was greeted in a packed House of Commons chamber as a Ukrainian and Canadian hero who had fought against, quote, the Russians in World War II. Well, that was in reference to the Soviet Red Army, which incidentally had battled the Third Reich alongside the Western Allies. The scandal resulted in the resignation of the House Speaker and an apology from the Canadian Prime Minister, who has deflected any personal responsibility. He came under heavy criticism from opposition politicians in the aftermath of the scandal. Well, after a standing ovation for a Nazi soldier in Canada's parliament, Germany has rushed to distance itself from the scandal. Berlin has admitted its ambassador was present at the event, but said it was not immediately clear at the time that the man being honored was a Nazi. Last year, Ukraine's President Zelensky appeared alongside a soldier wearing Nazi-inspired insignia during a trip to the embattled Kharkov region. The Ukrainian leader's social media team posted a photo of that, but quickly removed it after it sparked outrage. Back in 2015, Russian President Vladimir Putin spoke out against the rise of neo-Nazi sentiments around the world. Over in Estonia, Nazi forces are openly celebrated every year. The annual gathering commemorates the local Waffen-SS division and other Nazi soldiers who fought against the Soviets during World War II. Now, this year, Ukrainian flags were displayed at the event.
Forces are bombarded daily, including with these 122mm shells containing propaganda leaflets.
Intense artillery battles are currently ongoing between our Lugansk forces and the Ukrainian military.
The Lugansk Republic's militia forces are now shelling the Ukrainian army and neo-Nazi battalions with propaganda shells calling for them to surrender and explaining how to do it the right way to save their lives. The joint forces are now advancing on the Donbas front, deep into the DPR. Ukrainian forces have few options to choose from: surrender, withdraw, or be completely destroyed.